Why do you think startups fail in Kenya?
You may have a good idea, but poor execution. The idea might have been good, but not for that market that you're trying to push it.
That's a terrible idea.
Mihala is like, call it as it is, guys.
If it's a terrible idea, tell me it's a terrible idea.
If we get to a point and our visions don't align, we can always part ways.
There's nothing for telling me ati. It's a standard. If it's a standard contract,
yes,
it's called dictatorship.
Exactly.
KFC is doing well in Kakamega because they sell ugali.
Oh my God. No. Hi guys, welcome to the rundown. My name is Ndanuns Yuko.
And I'm Mihala Barasa.
And today we're going to be talking about why businesses fail in Kenya. So we're going to look at it in two aspects: why a lot of startups fail, and secondly, why a lot of foreign companies, when they come to Kenya, they end up closing shop after a few years of just operating in Kenya. Mm-hmm. So
yes, I'd like to ask you questions, drinking from the well of wisdom. So maybe you can start us off with, why do you think startups fail in Kenya?
Funding. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and the funding can be in two ways. Mm-hmm. Having too little funding, mm-hmm, and having too much funding. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what happens when they have too little funding is they're not able to, sometimes people are not able to prioritize what do we need to put, what takes higher priority, what takes lower priority with the limited funding that we have. You know, when it comes to the budgeting process, you need to make sure that you're very clear on, we have started this business today, this is the key area that we need to focus on. So the little funding that we have, do we focus on marketing? Do we focus on product development? Do we focus on hiring new staff? Do we focus on getting new technology? You know, it's dependent on the priority for the business at that time. So you can't just put the limited resources in everything. You know, you have to have a focus, okay? So that you can say, okay, so right now we're going to focus on product development, get our products right, and then we can now be able, once our products are good, we can be able to go get another round of funding, mm-hmm, and say, actually, our product is really good, and what we need is some now additional capital to go to the market and begin campaigns and market our products and brand, all that branding. Too much funding now is also another problem. Mm-hmm. When you have too much money, also you go get the best space in Upper Hill, in Westlands, buy fancy laptops for everyone, get good office furniture. You need to focus. You need to know, this money that I have, just because it looks like it's a lot, the funders will not just, or the shareholders will not just keep pumping in more money without seeing results. Okay, so it's important to rein in on expenditure, spend on what you need to spend on, so that you can look at how are your products going to fare in the market, and then you can be able to see, okay, this is how we're going to spend. Another challenge that sometimes startups have is they have a good idea, but they don't have a clear business plan. Mm-hmm. So you need to look at, what is my strategy? Then from the strategy, work on the business plan. A clear plan. So in quarter one, this is what we're going to do. In quarter two, this is what we're going to do. And that now informs the budget. So lack of a clear business plan is also one of the reasons why startups fail. The other thing is lack of a clear target market. Mm-hmm. So you're launching a product, but you don't know who your target market is. So you're just on, for example, if it's a retail product, you're on in all supermarkets everywhere in Kenya. And probably that's not what you need to do. Mm-hmm. You need to figure out who is your niche, okay? And then now place your products in areas where your niche market is going to easily access those products. So the other thing is, you may have a good idea, but poor execution. Mm-hmm. So that's what I was talking about. Have a clear strategy and business plan. And sometimes the idea that you have I don't want to call them terrible ideas, but the idea might have been good, but not for that market that you're trying to push it.
That's a terrible idea. Like,
I'm trying to be nice.
Like, remember, let me take you back. Remember, there's this startup that was selling food.
Yes.
It was a food startup, and their concept was literally kibandaski on wheels.
Oh.
And they were trying to kind of like really target, I think, middle class and quote unquote low income earners. And I think they wanted to deliver everything under 300 bob or something. And they secured a very good round of funding. I think it was like almost like $1 million.
I think I remember.
You remember, yeah?
Yes.
Almost $1 million. But they did not last more than 10 months in the market.
Yes.
Why? Because was that idea really good? Like, was it really, do you really think someone that goes to Kibandaski wants to order from a Kibandaski from an app? Like, think about it critically.
Okay.
Maybe that market is really small. In my experience, I think whenever we read about startups coming to Africa and to Kenya, they're always about, oh, we want something that is cheap and affordable, affordable. But not everybody is looking for affordability.
That's true.
It's you can't box everyone in affordability.
Yes.
Like if they said we want to deliver a certain cuisine and stick it to that cuisine and maybe just stick it to Nairobi, probably it would have worked.
Yeah.
The budget angle was good, but was it practical? Though it wasn't practical. He saw a problem, yes. Did he give the best solution to the problem? No. But there's a way that he was able to secure that kind of funding to come and be in Kenya for a period of just 10 months.
Yeah.
Probably it would have worked. I don't know. I don't know much about startups.
Okay.
But for me, that one for sure. You can't tell me that was a good idea.
I think I get what you mean. I was trying to be nice. I didn't want to say they're terrible ideas, but Mihala is like, call it as it is, guys.
If it's a terrible idea, tell me it's a terrible idea. But I have a question for you. With things like this, how much does market research account for how successful or unsuccessful a startup is?
I think that's one of the key areas where a lot of businesses go wrong, okay? And it can be due to inadequate market research. And when we talk about market research, it's not just about the customer. A lot of people focus on what do the customers want. Market research also helps you with pricing your product. You need to now go and find out who are the people we are going to use for delivery. Are we going to use our own couriers, or are we going to use the existing platforms that have couriers? And how much is that going to cost? Compare each. Then also look at the cost of labor. So for example, if it's a foreigner coming to Kenya and they're setting up, they need to look at what's the cost. Even you as a Kenyan, by the way, you still need to look at what's the cost of labor. So factor all those things before you price your product. The other area that you need to look at in your research is marketing. Okay? So before you start marketing your product, you need to know which platforms you're going to use to reach your target audience. So you've already done your customer, okay? You've done research, you've seen this is the type of customer who wants this product that I want to bring to the market. So how do I reach that customer? That's also another area of research that you need to do. Am I going to use digital platforms? Am I going to use traditional media? Am I going to use billboards? So you need to also understand understanding your target market also comes with understanding how you're going to reach that target market. So if you don't understand how to reach that target market, you may have a very good product that people during the research stage told you, we actually want this. You need to look at what taxes come with it, okay? Do we have VAT on those products that you want? And if you're going to bundle up the product, okay, so for example, if it's delivery of food, if you're going to bundle it up, the cost of the food together with the delivery cost, how are you going to charge VAT on that? Okay? Because sometimes you'll find if it's delivery, there's a separate VAT that's charged on the delivery. Where, for example, with the other food delivery platforms, you normally find because they are getting food from a vendor, that vendor pays their VAT, and then the delivery platform pays a different VAT. So here, where you're giving one unified platform, you need to understand how are you going to handle taxes, okay? Understand in terms of licenses. What licenses do you need? So for example, in Nairobi, you need a food handler's certificate for if you're getting into food. So you need to know those are the types of certificates that I need. And you need to make sure that you keep renewing those licenses. Okay? So if you need, so market research is not just the customer. It's everything that that business is going to need. And then now come look at it as a whole and say, okay, so I'm going to be selling to customer X. This is how I'm going to be reaching them. This is how much this product is going to cost. This is how much I will be making per delivery. As we look at that, also another thing that causes startups to fail is going too big too soon. Yeah.
And not just startups, even businesses.
Even businesses, yeah. It's true. Going too big too soon. Okay? So you've not yet finished with this market. You've not finished Nairobi. You've not understood Nairobi properly. But because you're making some good money in Nairobi, you're like, you know what, guys, let's go to Mombasa. Kidogo kidogo, you're in Kisumu. Kidogo kidogo, you're like, what are we doing in Kenya? Let's
go to Kampala.
Yeah.
Kampala is our next big thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Going too big too soon. That's something that you, as businesses, you really need to think about. After 5 years, look at, okay, so how far have we gone? We've broken even. We've paid our dividends. We've paid dividends to our shareholders. We have adequate staff. Then now think about, okay, so I think we've handled Nairobi well. So probably it's time for us to go to Mombasa. So before you go to Mombasa, you need to do market research again.
Mombasa.
Yes. Because the people in Mombasa are very different from people in Nairobi. Their needs, their wants are very different. How they approach new brands coming into their market is also very different. Okay? Could be that there are certain products that you didn't think would do well in Nairobi. Maybe they'll do well in Mombasa, you know. Understand that customer segment very well. Even operating costs will be very different in Mombasa than in Nairobi. Yeah. So if you're the CFO for that company, you also need to factor that in, okay? Cost of production will be different in Mombasa and in Nairobi for various factors, okay? So probably if you're importing some raw materials, in Mombasa it's cheaper. Because they're just there at the port. Yeah. If now when you're bringing the products to Nairobi, you need to factor the cost of transport. Yes. So that is also important when you're scaling to a new market. Also understand now if you're moving to another territory, moving to another country, understand the laws and the regulations of that country. Okay. If even possible, I've seen some companies like engage a law firm when they're going to a new territory, and they say, I want to know what are the tax laws in this country, and these are the products that I want to bring. What are the tax laws that will have an impact on my business? What are the employment laws in this country?
What is the consumer protection situation
in this country? Yeah. Exactly. What data protection laws? You know, get the basics. Get to understand that market, and then now get into the market. Analyze your competitors. You're going to a new market. You're not the first person to bring that thing there.
Yes.
Yeah. So find out what are those guys doing. And even if you're the first person, there is a product that's similar to that product.
Or close.
Find out, why don't people like that product anymore? Why are people looking for something superior? What new thing can you bring into that market that will make people happy? Is it a pricing issue? Is it the product is now inferior? They're like, guys, we need something better. Could it be that the market has changed? It has evolved. There are more people with higher purchasing power that you now need to tap into. So
I don't know if you've seen those, on a lighter note, I don't know if you've seen those jokes on TikTok and X that say KFC is doing well in Kakamega because they sell ugali.
Oh my God. No.
I guess probably that's what you mean. Like,
yes,
you localize the product,
yes,
to be able to relate with the locals of the community.
Exactly. Competitor analysis is very critical. And I know a lot of times people, when they come with new ideas, they imagine there's no competition. Please note, it is an imagination. there is competition.
However small.
However small. For example, like banks, your competition in mashinani is the mattress.
It is.
Yeah, that is
And
your competition.
Chama, by the way.
And Chama,
And
yes.
Chama.
That is your competition. Stop imagining because there are no banks there that there's no competition.
Way, yes.
Yeah, you need to get those people to stop putting their money under the mattress.
Or with the Chama money.
Or with the Chama, yeah.
There's something to be said about a competitor that is not as sophisticated as you.
Yes.
The thing about them is, one, they don't make things complicated.
Yes.
So it's so easy.
Yeah.
If I need 100 shillings, all I need to do is go, lift my mattress, and chuck my money.
Exactly.
Or give the Chama woman a call and say, you know what, on my 2,000 shillings that's there, give me a loan of 1,500. There's something to be said about such competitors that I don't have to jump through hoops to be able to access that service. And as even as you talk about scaling, maybe you can make us understand the difference between, okay, let me not frame it as the difference, how to balance the need between what a shareholder or a venture capitalist that has invested in your business wants in terms of scaling and versus what it is on the ground. Let's say, for example, I come and I tell you, maybe for the next, and this happened to a lot of startups in the recent past, I tell you there's no need for you to be profitable in the next 2 years. Yes. I want you to scale as much as possible. Go to Kisumu, go to Mombasa, go. Show us what you can do in these towns. As opposed to make a profit first and then now move to other areas. So if the venture capitalist or the person that is investing in my business is telling me, go to all these markets first, as opposed to make a profit first, then what do you think would be the best situation to handle it? Because I know most startups failed on that premise as well. Because we are getting into markets we are not ready for, because we need to show these venture capitalists and future venture capitalists that, you know what, we have this massive market share. So we've already occupied this market. You know how this and this and this market works. Even though we are not making profit, we will be profitable because you already understand the market. Vis-a-vis, let's just do a small business in Nairobi, understand, make profit, then move to other areas.
Okay. So there are funders that come in at initial stage, at the seed stage. Okay. So where it's basically just an idea, and if it's a product, it's like a prototype. They help you set up the business and grow it a little bit, okay? Then venture capitalists come to scale the business, okay? So you need to understand what stage your business is in so that you can know what type of investor to bring in. And then when you bring in an investor, you also need to see whether you guys align, okay? So I've seen a lot of times where an investor comes in, they like the C-suite, but they don't like the founder. You know?
I know.
So they like the C-suite, they don't like the founder. Because them, they have the ideas of how they want this company to grow. And maybe the COO and the CFO look like, these are the people to take this business to
the next level.
Exactly. So you as the founder, you need to know, am I ready to walk away from this business? I cash out my shares and go, or I become just a shareholder like everybody else, like the other shareholders. So I sit in the board.
Dividends.
Yes, I enjoy dividends. Okay. So you need to know, and I think that's not even to do with money. I think it has more to do with just your emotional intelligence. When you're looking at the different investors, just look at, are we on the same wavelength? Okay. This funder, when they come in, they're likely to take me in a direction that I don't want to go. Exactly. Or they're likely to take me too fast, too soon, and I'm going to crash and burn. Remember, that investor, their reputation is not on the line. It's you, the founder of the business, whose reputation is on the line. So you also need to get in bed with investors who you're on the same wavelength. But I don't know. I think over time I've learned that, and I've also learned from you, there's no contract that can't be broken.
Let me tell you. And there's nothing for telling me it's a standard. If it's a standard contract,
yes,
it's called dictatorship.
Exactly.
There can't be a standard contract.
You
can deviate.
You can deviate.
Yeah, you can always amend the contract.
Yeah. If we get to a point and our visions don't align, we can always part ways. Yeah, it's not life or death over here at history. I'm being told to go to Kisumu, and I can see this Kisumu story
Is not working.
It's not working. Don't overthink it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you think also there's something to be said about mismanagement of maybe foreign companies that come into Kenya, apart from just learning to Kenyanize the product?
So the misalignment could be in the sense that in that foreign company, there's a way they do things. And they want, so a lot of times what global companies, where they go wrong is they try to impose the processes, policies that have worked in their country on the subsidiaries. Like one size fits all. You guys, all of you, I want you to do this. I want you to adopt this policy. So the minute that happens, then, and probably in one of the subsidiaries, maybe like the Kenyan subsidiary, they are saying, this won't work in the Kenyan market. We need to maybe customize it. And the parent company is saying, no, there is no customizing. All the subsidiaries,
apply as is.
Yes, apply as is. That also sometimes becomes a challenge. That lack of understanding from the parent company of how the subsidiary countries operate also brings a lot of challenges. But then again, I don't refuse. As we had mentioned as we were starting the episode, when we were talking about the startups, people are not nice. And don't expect that everyone is nice, okay? So sometimes, because the money or the funding is not coming from your pocket, you who is probably a CEO of a certain company, because you're not the shareholder, you're not feeling the pain of mismanagement. When you're mismanaging funding, you're not feeling the pain because the money is not coming from your pocket. So sometimes, yes, I would say there is some mismanagement, especially if the company maybe has fallen into the wrong hands. There can be mismanagement. Okay, people who are trying to amass wealth from themselves may mismanage your foreigners' company as they try to build their own. Okay, but I think a lot of times it's just an issue of misalignment. Yeah, there are cases of mismanagement, yes, but a lot of times it's an issue of misalignment between the Kenyan management and the parent company.
And I think it's not only in terms of probably how they conduct their businesses. Sometimes it's the policies as well.
Yes.
Like there are some policies that I look at and I think I read those policies and I'm like, this is so unnecessary for for the Kenyan market. Like so unnecessary because we don't do this thing. But when you're trying to fill out forms for grants, like applying for maybe loans or money or funding, you have to go through all these hoops. You have to take your startup through all these hoops of we don't do slavery, we don't do da-da-da, we don't. Whereas even just your labor laws would have been sufficient to cover that part.
Exactly.
Like it's really not necessary for you to have that, which actually is an added responsibility and sometimes actually an added cost, operational cost to you to kind of implement those things. Whereas that money would have, that scarce resource of money would have been put into maybe marketing in your product or into market research.
Yeah. Because I think sometimes the parent companies just impose the policies. They say these are group-wide policies, implement all of them. But the group-wide policies might not necessarily work for those countries. Yes, there's need for some customization and understanding that market. Another reason why startups from other countries fail when they come to Kenya, it's issues of taxation. So sometimes they end up getting some form of double taxation. They're being taxed here and they're being taxed wherever they've come from. Okay, and also maybe not understanding the tax laws in Kenya. So they sometimes end up accruing a lot of debt to the taxman, which now ends up that they have to shut down after they've paid the taxman. Yes. So just as we had mentioned for the startups, when they're doing market research, understand the taxes that are applicable to your business similarly to foreign companies that are coming in.
There are some companies that probably we thought would succeed because they've just been in the market space for long enough. So people are used to this product.
Yeah.
There are some platforms that we are used to now, and I think they do well because they've been here, Jumia. They've been here for a longer period of time, so we are used to using them. So maybe my question to you would have been, do you think also that counts for the success or failure?
There are certain sectors where the longer you've been here, the better. Like financial services. So people easily trust the tier 1 banks, the ones that have been here for longer. So I think it depends on the sector. There are certain sectors people trust who has been there longer. There are certain products where people want excitement. They want something new. Yeah. So if it's an industry where people want something new, then when you're a new entrant, the better for you.
Do well.
Yes.
Okay, I think that makes sense. I think in this episode, I have learned quite a bit about why startups fail.
Yeah.
And I usually like your economic perspectives.
Maybe before we wrap it up, we need to discuss what is the impact of those startups when they fail. So, number 1, unemployment. So these startups, when they came in, they hired a lot of people. And then now you've closed.
Layoffs are happening.
Exactly.
Yes.
When companies close down, it reduces our GDP as a whole. Yeah, the production goes down, okay, which is not good because we need taxes to fund the economy.
Don't we know it?
Yeah, I know it's a sensitive area, but we actually need to broaden our tax base, have more money flowing in the economy to be able to sustain government projects. The minute now their purchasing power for people goes down, there are certain industries that will be affected almost immediately.
Yeah.
Entertainment, consumables. It also reduces very, very fast. Yeah. A ripple effect of unemployment is normally rising insecurity. The more people you have unemployed, the worse your security becomes.
What startups are meant to do, they're about trying what works in the market.
Yes.
And a lot of startups that have failed will actually remind you, 1, do better next time,
Yes.
or this is not a ripe market for product A, B, C, D, E. So it kind of really improves the number of researches that are going on, the number of startups that actually can come and learn from that which has failed or has done well in a market.
Yeah.
And that sometimes makes me glad that Kenya is one of those ripe markets for startups to come and try, like,
Yes.
kupimia hali.
Kupima, yeah.
Because then it kind of tells our local superstars and tech bros, high tech bros, our local tech bros that this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, this has worked, this hasn't worked. So it kind of like keeps our market developed in terms of...
That's true. All right. Thank you guys for joining us for this episode. I hope you have learnt a thing or two. Also, comment, tell us where you think startups in Kenya fail, and also why foreign companies, when they set up shop in Kenya, why they don't do well. And what can we do to enable businesses to at least
do better.
Yeah, and be able to stand the test of time. Yes, so Mihala, what do we say at this point?
Do not forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Notification bell, please. Just hit the notification button so that you know when we are putting up new videos. My Instagram handle is Mihala Barasa. On TikTok as well, Mihala Barasa. On X, which was Twitter, Mihala Barasa. And on my favorite platform, LinkedIn, Mihala Barasa. Please follow me there and follow the rundown both on TikTok and on Instagram. You?
I'm Danunz Yuko on Facebook, on Instagram, on X. I will try. I keep promising to try to be more active on X. I will try. Yes, and on LinkedIn, I'm Grace Danunz Yuko. So thank you guys. It's been a pleasure. Until next time, bye-bye.